Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland, which is
my choice.
Yeah, which is your choice. And it is a Tokyo movie Shinsha movie for the studio. And it's based off of a comic strip or picture book. And it's an adventure fantasy and runs for an hour and 35 minutes approximately.
Approximately, yeah. Now, if you ever do decide to watch this, we'll save you some time and effort in the ending credits. Once the song is done, there's literally nothing else. They just keep playing with faint music on the background, and there is no extra scene that we've all been accustomed to. So yes. I was hoping there would be.
No.
But there wasn't.
Well, it came out in July 1989, and that's for the Japanese release. Now, what's really interesting about this is it didn't hit America, I want to say, until 92.
Okay.
But it's actually based off of an American comic strip, if I remember correctly. And we had talked a little bit about that beforehand, before we actually started recording for this. And it was adapted by the director Masami Hata for the studio Tokyo Movie Shinsha. And Tokyo Movie Shinsha, or TMS Entertainment, is what they're known as. They also did another great movie, which is Akira.
Yes, Akira is a phenomenal movie. I think we've already reviewed it. And I'll say it now because I think it's just as true now as it is when we were reviewing it. Akira was and still is pivotal in animation. They used techniques that they're still using today that they didn't use before. They had to find new ways to implement the drawing styles to make this movie what it is. And I would argue, similarly to the movie we just watched, Akira has withstood the test of time.
I would say Akira definitely did stand the test of time, yes.
Just like this one did?
I stand by what I said.
If you can't tell, my buddy over here, Jack, has a different opinion. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Me? No. I never have a differing opinion on anything we watch. In fact, we're always in line 100% of the time.
Which is why I can confidently say that if you don't agree, you are uncultured swine. Because I'm right on this one. Nostalgia has no effect on me whatsoever.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and just give a guess as to what I think your score is going to be. I know it's not going to be a 10.
No, it won't.
I'm going to say maybe an 8.
It's really close. I was teetering between 8 and 9, like in the midsection there.
Okay.
And I know yours isn't. And
no, it's not.
I was considering. I was going to listen to your reasons why, and the lowest possible score I'm going to give this will be a 7 because no matter how bad you convince me it is, it's still beautiful and amazing. And
I have no doubt in my mind that this for you is a great stroll down memory lane. And that this holds great, true, sentimental value for you. And it allows you to relive your childhood experiences. Which, let's be honest, if it was like that for me, for this movie, I'd probably be right there with you. But,
fair.
But.
Oh, there's no but. I agree with you. We should just leave it at that because you said it beautifully and perfectly, and I agree.
There you go. So, that being said,
that's just three different words for the word but, sir.
That being said, I could not even come close to like truly enjoying this. I could not. I couldn't come close to enjoying this, mainly because even when I tried watching it, and I feel like I tried watching this before when I was younger with my aunt. And even then, I had trouble watching it.
You felt you were too mature for the movie?
I guess so. I mean, you what can I say, man? I'm always stuck up.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you with such amazing lines like pajama, pajama.
Well, it's not pajama. It's like pajama, jajama, shajama, pajama, jajama, pajama, shajama, kajama. You know, I mean, like it's just a bunch of different ways to say pajama.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But it was very unique and awesome.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that it's unique. Awesome, no, but I'll give you that it's unique. I mean, so like how it starts off, which is really, really cool, really, really unique. And I thought it set it up really, really well is it starts off with little Nemo asleep in his bed and he starts flying out the window. Kind of threw me off. There was like no build up for it or anything like that. It just like threw you right into it. And it goes to him flying around on his bed and then getting chased by a train. And then it's like, okay, well, this is a dream. It's like you start coming to the realization it's a dream. He's being chased by a train. He's having that sense of hopelessness. He sees his home. He gets inside, you know, the whole background for a dream. And then he wakes up falling out of his bed. It's like, okay.
Did he though?
By falling out of his bed?
Yeah. Did he really wake up?
Yes. Yes, he did.
See, the reason why I'm confused, well, I'm not necessarily confused because he might wake up, but the scepter's still there.
Not from the first dream.
Okay.
Which is what I'm talking about. Talking about the very first dream, opening scene. That's the first dream is he's chased by a train. And that's dream number one.
Gotcha.
He wakes up by falling out of bed. He sees the circus and he sees all the people in the circus and everything like that. And which all then come to life in his dream.
Yes. What
I thought was pretty hokey, and I feel like it could have been done without, but it had the overarching, and it ties back into it. Keeping your promise is he promised his mom he wouldn't eat pie when he goes to bed, and he sleepwalks, and I'm using air quotes, sleepwalks to the fridge to grab
like a mummy.
To grab pie, and he's caught by his mom. He opens his eye, he reads, remember your promise. Yeah, sure. Grabs it and is caught by mama dear. And he's like, oh, what, who, what? And then runs away. It's like, yeah, no, that totally wasn't suspicious. That totally just played.
I loved it. Did you watch the sub or the dub?
I watched the dub. I couldn't find the sub. I wanted to find the sub. So
see, I've only ever heard of the dub. So I didn't think the sub existed, to be perfectly honest. But I watched it too, and it was hilarious when he bumps into her and she goes, what do you think you're doing? He goes, huh? What? Where am I? What was I doing? And you're like, oh, brother.
He continues to try to play it off too, which is even worse. And then he runs to bed and he's like out of breath. He's like, oh, I just got caught. It's like, yes, you did get caught.
And it's then all right. The mom was talking to her husband, the dad, and she goes, are you going to talk to me? He goes, I'll do it in the morning. And he's like, whew, thank goodness. And it kind of sets up a scenario with the dad, because the next morning finds out there's a circus coming to town. Or was it that morning he found the circus?
It was that morning found out about the circus, and then he tried sleepwalking to get the pie. Gotcha. After his father had just said, his father actually did keep his promise. He goes, we'll go tomorrow, I promise.
Well, okay. I was going to say, he says, maybe we'll go tomorrow.
Oh,
or we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
And so his whole thing is, he's like, you always say tomorrow, but it never happens. And then he says he promises very lightly as he goes away. And he's like, whatever. And then later that night when he's caught, the mom is talking to the dad, and the dad goes, I'll deal with it in the morning.
Yep.
So you come to find out that his dad's I'll do it later mentality is just shoving off responsibility for later, and then later never comes. So he's confident that unless action's taken immediately, as a child at least, there will be no consequences.
Right. Which, again, really ties into the story foundation. Promises, pushing off responsibility, no immediate reprimand for any actions that have been taken.
Yeah, and I think what I will say is later on he blames somebody else for actions that he did.
Mm-hmm.
However, I didn't see that in the waking world where he shirked responsibility by blaming somebody else.
Right.
So that was interesting to me. I mean, as a parent, I'm not a parent, obviously, because I've said as much before, but putting myself in a parent's position, watching this video, it's got very strong subliminal messaging in the sense of, if you do this and you don't take responsibility, then bad things could happen to you. And later on, he, as a climax, if you will, our main character, Nemo, little Nemo, decides to own his mistakes and apologize and be responsible. And very good things happened after the fact. So I think as a moralistic story, this is phenomenal. It has very good teaching things. And I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, I feel bad for the mediums that will no longer be valid or influential to the children coming forward, because I don't think I'm a bad person. I think myself, as well as my friends group, yourself included, benefited from things like Lion King, from this movie, even though we both don't remember it. It's just shows like Bambi, shows like Lion King, shows like Little Mermaid. There was subliminal messaging in there that helped teach us right from wrong, that just reenacted and reinforced what our parents were teaching us. Or even if they weren't, there's subliminal messaging to teach right from wrong in the movies themselves, I think are no longer there, such as like Frozen, or I haven't really seen anything since Frozen.
Okay. So to help clarify, messaging like that is still found heavily in children's shows, TV shows, and movies, and everything like that. That's not taken away.
More ham-fisted. I think it's not as delicately put in newer stuff.
Well, it just really depends on what you're watching and how you choose to watch it. Also, you come from a very different mentality and viewpoint, in that the shows that you had watched or that you are watching are very, very different from things that are portrayed in other shows. I mean, like, there are countless comparisons where it's not so much subliminal as you put it, as this is like, hey, here's what happened, here's the reaction to this, or here's this, here's that. And again, it's not so much subliminal even in this. It's, hey, he lied, he blamed someone else, and he's now having to deal with the consequences or take action or responsibility for the actions that he did. And it's, again, that's kind of portrayed in a lot of movies even today. It's just for our age group and for what we're watching, and compared to how we're watching it or what we remember, it is vastly different.
I guess. I don't see. I guess my biggest argument against what you just said was the simple fact that when you and I were growing up, the only mediums we had access to, videos and whatnot, were things that we could get a physical copy of. Like, it didn't play on TNT reruns, stuff like that. Whereas now you've got you have literally all the information humanity has to offer in your hand in the form of a cell phone, on your computer. Like, you have unlimited, unbridled access. So all of the videos we watched, all of the shows we were accustomed to, are getting buried in the SpongeBobs, if you will.
Yes, but that's an entirely different type of discussion that's not relevant to this. And the reason why I say that, is, one, because it's true. Two,
my point is true. That's irrefutable. Moving on. No, I agree. You have a point, but what's the second one?
The second one is all those shows that are getting quote unquote buried aren't buried. In fact, every time and you brought up Lion King, and I'm going to use that as an example. Every time those shows or movies come up, they boom massively. And that's why Disney Plus exists as well. Those movies aren't buried by the SpongeBobs or anything else. Those movies and shows are very easily accessible. And Disney, and even though this isn't a Disney, even close to being a Disney, the messaging Disney always usually puts out is usually pretty standard across the board. And if they have to go back and say, hey, this is a reflection of the time, and we don't agree with this, but here it is still, they still have that messaging out there. And it's up to the parents. And I'll say this right now, it's up to the parents for them to convey that messaging. All this is a medium for them to help convey what the parents are teaching.
No, I agree. This is not a teaching movie. It is not a one-stop shop, if you will. This is just a simple reinforcement, the way I see it. But I guess I don't want to get too much into the topic because you and I will spend the rest of our time here talking about everything except the movie. But what I will say to kind of try to refute my last point would be when you and I were growing up, our access was incredibly limited. We had the Flintstones, Jefferson. So like what we had to view, or our options weren't as broad, and it wasn't as flashy, if you will. Like for instance, now if you gave me the option to watch this movie and to watch other things, I'd choose other things. The only reason I wanted this, the main reason I wanted is nostalgia. And I agree, it's not the best movie we've seen. There are you laugh ironically. I'm like, no, it's not horrible. But it's certainly, it would not be on our top 100. It wouldn't be on our top 500 list. You know what I mean?
Oh, deeply.
Wow.
Deeply.
It's got to be the top 1,000.
Sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Oh, damn. Okay. But I mean, I guess, I don't know. My argument against having such a wide, against never seeing these in future generations is the stories. I don't know. I want real quick, your opinion. Do you think the stories will repeat themselves eventually? We'll run out of content and we'll just have to remake stuff? They did that with The Lion King horribly, I might add. I saw that. I was horrified. But
so again, personal opinion.
Yeah.
They already do that, and they have been doing that. It's just they remix the story or the message or how they want to choose to portray it overall. I mean, like that's never changed even in the last, I want to say 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. I mean, like their original stories is hard to come by. And the reason why I say this is I want you to think about it, right? Brothers Grimm, their fairy tales. How many times has that been retold and remixed in different ways?
True.
So it's just a sign of the changing times or how someone chooses in particular to tell the story. And that's what this is great at. It's someone's own viewpoint and interpretation of how a story needs to be told. And I want to say the director for this as well, and we talked again about this a little bit in the pre-content that is available to our patrons starting at the $1 level. Masami Hara being the director, his bread and butter, I want to say for the most part, is like 90% of what he's worked on is children's movies, children's TV shows. And I want to say it for someone to actually focus on that and to be able to tell a good child story is, one, really, really hard to do. Two, keeping it entertaining, again, really, really hard to do. And he does it really, really well for a majority of the people. I'm going to say that because I remember seeing bits and pieces of this growing up. Never really captured my attention. But then again, I'm a unique case in and of itself, as we all know, Rick.
I'm a unique case, he says. Yeah, I will admit that, but you are a unique case would be putting it a little too bluntly. You're a desirable outcome in what people look for in friends, if that makes any sense.
Sure. We'll go with that. I'll take the compliment. I mean, I think you're more along that line than me, but I'll take the compliment. I'll take it.
It's always nice to have your compliment thrown back at you because it's especially when it's true. I'm just, I accept it. It's just who I am as a person.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like the story, the messaging for this was there. I'm not going to deny that it wasn't there. I'm not going to say that it was a horrible, horrible story. It holds no sentimental value for me, so I'm going to definitely rate it lower. The overall, but it was one. How it started off was great. How it continued on was weird. Kind of made me feel a little bit lost. Like like they were trying to tell a lot of different stories. Like they were trying to mesh a lot of messages in there, or trying to talk heavily on particular points. And it made me lose the sense of wonderment or lose interest and
Lose interest.
And it didn't hold me like I feel like it should have. So Little Nemo was definitely,
for me, I know I get what you're saying exactly, but when I was watching it as an adult, I got hints of Ferngully and Peter Pan because the flying situation and whatnot. And I agree, it didn't seem, for lack of a better way to put it, it didn't seem like it flowed appropriately. Because looking at it, you had a scene here, a scene here, a scene here, and they're all supposed to connect somehow. And it felt like they were just forcing certain situations to happen, not necessarily of convenience, not necessarily saying like this character is flip as a character. By the way, completely annoyed at how long it took me to figure out who was voicing him.
Right.
So like from the get-go, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Who is that? Oh my God, I know this name. And then when at the very end, you're like, Mickey Rooney.
Yep.
I can't believe I didn't see that before. And there was some seriously problematic staff, let's call them, in anything. I thought that, now, what I thought was hilarious, in the scene where they're like, you're going to be Prince, and I apologize, we skipped how he even got to Dreamland. He was invited by the king. That would probably be a whole thing.
No, he wasn't invited by the king. I thought he was invited by the princess.
I thought he was invited by the king at the princess' request. Okay.
Yeah, because they said
that's going to annoy me.
Yeah.
That's going to annoy me.
Yeah, it was the princess that invited him. He goes to sleep, and then the rest of the time, and this is where it kind of like, okay, well, in the end, I mean, like I get it, Adventures in Slumberland. He's asleep 99% of the movie. I get it. His friend Icarus, which is a flying squirrel, is on his adventure with him in it. What's really, really weird, and what's really, really funny and really, really sad is he's like, no, I don't want to play with a girl. It's a girl. It's like, well, here's cookies. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's really great. And it's like, yeah, you're totally, yeah, you're a kid. That's it right there. Girls are gross. Wait, here's cookies. Oh, right.
She made them. I got to go see this girl. It was good for the actor. The way they wrote him, flawless for his age group. He didn't seem more mature at any point in time than the age, which I thought was kind of awesome. But
yes.
Anyway, he makes it to this land and this is where I go, maybe something's going on here, because the way I saw that, the king was like, hey, you're now a prince, which means you're my son-in-law. It didn't quite go so far as to say that, but that's how I got that. You are now a prince and you're going to marry my daughter, essentially, who's already a princess.
Yes.
And they completely glossed over everything about that. And then at the very, very like middle point where they're trying to like teach him how to be a prince, this woman keeps suffocating him as they're dancing.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, like it's a child dream. Number one, like, come on, what do you expect? It's a child's dream. He's also the only, I mean, like, I don't know about you, but in my dreams, I'm all powerful. And
either I'm all powerful or I can't run worth a damn.
What's even better is and I thought this was really cool. They highlight that Flip has a map that only Flip can read, which in your dreams, you can't read.
Oh, okay. Complete and utter side note. I was watching one of the creepypastas and they're like, and the title was essentially never try to read the words in your dream. And I'm like, you know what? 3 or 4 weeks, months later, I'm dreaming. I remember this very vividly because it scared the crap out of me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take an eye exam. Could you read the thing? And I start reading it and it gets nonsensical and worrisome. And I scared myself out of the dream. Like it turned from a okay dream to a nightmare. And so, yeah, this right here matches with that because I understood what it said, but I couldn't read it and it was freaking me out.
Yeah. Because in your dreams, you actually can't read. It's And so a lot of people have difficulty kind of comprehending or trying to deal with that. It turns it into a fun or exciting experience, into a nightmare experience, which is really, really funny because he goes from a nightmare to a even more nightmarish experience. And I want to say kind of like after he tries to read the map.
I can see what you're talking about, but he also brought up so when he brought out the map he couldn't read, he flipped it over. I apologize.
He put it away and brought out another one.
Yeah, he put it away.
It was a color picture.
Yeah, there were no words.
There was one word on there, and it just said Slumberland, and that was it. But it was a real quick view, and he didn't really have the chance to read anything else while he was getting trained or taught while being a prince. What's even better in his dream, and the reason why I bring up to round us back real quick, the reason why I brought up you can't read in your dreams is because, or I'm all powerful in my dreams or anything like that, is the king in his dream is like, the only one that can use this staff is me and Nemo. We are the only ones with the power, but I'm not going to give it to Nemo because he doesn't have the strength or wisdom yet. So he's calling himself dumb and weak in his own dream. I was like, man, that's messed up. That's sad.
See, I'd like to counter that because my girl made a very specific point. She's like, all the books he's opening and reading are one sentence books because it was etiquette on how to eat, how to stand, how to do stuff. And he'd open it, he'd read one sentence, and all right, that book is done. One more sentence, all right, that book is done. So,
but how do we know he was really reading it? He could have just been pretending to, just like open it, close, open it, close, because he hates school. Like all children, most children hate school, hate homework. And I mean, like, there are people out there that I'm not one of them. I know you're not one of them there, Rick, but
I don't know what you're talking. I loved homework. I loved it so much I kept it way past the due date.
I'm going to come right out and say it. I was just lazy in school. I didn't care. I didn't want to do my homework. Walk home. You got homework? Yeah. Bags on the couch. It's like, that was it. You didn't do your homework. You found out at report card time. That's what you weren't doing.
I remember going on vacation when the report cards came, and my mom specifically said, Rick, do you want me to look at this now or later? And I said, maybe later.
So that's why I say I don't think he was actually reading them. I think he was just pretending. It's like, oh, it's homework. Blip, 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 blip. Moving sense. On to the next one. He wasn't actually reading it. And why I also said, it's like he can't even be all powerful and all knowing in his own dream. He's dumb and he's called dumb in his own dream.
Ooh, yeah.
So at least they kind of acknowledge that and like say, hey, you're dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
And again, to your point, it shows a strong correlation in the movie where he is trying to shirk responsibility. He's trying to not take the ownership of his actions and with keeping promises, because he's given a key after he's met the king, and he's like, this is one promise. The only promise is you cannot open the door with this symbol on the key. That's it. It's like, don't care what else you do. You could burn the damn castle down. You could set things ablaze, murder people. I don't care. Only one promise. Don't open up the door. That's it. Cool. Flip.
But what was the door?
The door? 4?
Yeah, what was he holding back?
The Nightmare King?
I thought the Nightmare King was already out because on their way to Slumberland, they're like, oh no, take the helm. There's the Nightmare King.
Well, they said there's the Nightmare, I thought, not Nightmare King. And they're trying to run away from a nightmare when they're trying to get to Slumberland.
Okay, that's possible.
But when he gets taken, the king gets taken, because little Nemo is convinced by Flip that, hey, they should totally open it.
It didn't take much to convince him.
He's like, oh, I promised never to open this door. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you should totally keep your promises. Don't you want to see what's behind her? Let's just open it up. Take a peek. Can't hurt, right? Peek. Oh, yeah, no, you're totally right. We should totally do this. Yes. Click, open. It's like, yeah, giant, ominous door.
The ratcheting system to take the secured things away from that door were just over the top awesome. I loved it. If I could actually make that happen in real life, I think I'd want that for like the man cave. So you'd know when I'm going in and when I'm going out. And of course, just to be on the sly, you'd have a door that opens in a larger fashion that's quiet. so you can sneak in there rather than being like, I have announced where I will be.
I don't know about you, but I would announce where I'm at. I want trumpets playing. I want the whole creaky thing. In fact, I want the door with that symbol on there. I want it to be gold, just like his. And just like,
oh, jeez. Could you imagine like that if you were to do like a gaming podcast, if you will, or a gaming channel, and that's your entrance? Like all you see is just you'd hit the record button, turn the key, and all you'd see in the background is this door open, and you walk in different suits every single time. The first time, of course, is a kingly suit. Next one, pseudo armor, jester suit, all that different stuff. Just as a, that would get so annoying so fast, but I love the idea so much. Mainly because it'll never happen for me.
Well, yeah, obviously it will never happen for me either, but hey, I can dream big, all right? You can't prevent me from dreaming big.
Oh, dude, could you imagine? No, we'll talk about it after.
So, yeah. But all that being said, it does come to I feel what I feel is a really solid ending, and it rounds it out with a resolution to the story as a whole, which is great.
Yeah.
And it ends it in I want to say a kind of lackluster / semi satisfactory manner.
It ended in an expected manner. Like he at the very end said the Jazama Pajama Jazama Shazama Kazama Chimera Kaz Imperatazama Paja Pajap Shazam Pajama. I just read that as best I could on the picture I sent you on a scroll. It's awesome. But that was the incantation in my best broken translation. And I feel like at the very, very end, when he's trying to save everybody, it's just he peters out, if you will.
Well, see, the thing is, he wanted to take kind of like a shortcut to it and didn't try to memorize the incantation. And when it came time for him to try to understand or know the incantation, all he kept saying was Jazama Pajama, Jazama Pajama, Jazama Pajama, Jazama Pajama. And that's it. And he says it frantically and panicking, one, because he doesn't have the experience and he's not calm and he's a kid, he's freaking out.
Whenever he doesn't have the wisdom?
And he doesn't have the wisdom. But also what's great is he's even called out on it too at a point.
Oh yeah.
So
beautifully too. Like it wasn't in a malicious way. It was just it's another lesson to be taught. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we could keep droning on about this. I mean, like we've already droned on. We've even gotten a little philosophical about the messaging, the meaning, and movies, and past and pretense, and everything like that. I mean, like this like brought about a really great discussion. Not so much substance for the movie, though.
Well, I mean, I would say that the movie is a nice starting off point, a jumping point, if you will, to a greater discussion. At this point, I think it's a decent spot to do a rating, right?
Indeed. So on a scale of up to 10, you said you were at the very least 7, at most a 9. I said you're going to give it an 8. Where are you at?
Yeah, I like 5.
You're giving it a 5? Okay, well, good. Then we're matching.
No. No. So given everything, nostalgia, minimum of 7 right there. But going a little further than that, the things that it brought about, the when I was watching it with my girl who's never seen it before, she goes, "Wow, you need to be on an acid trip to watch this."
Yes.
Because it's that quirky at times. And I'm like, you know what? They're promoting drugs, which is what the warning was at first. No, I was like, no, it makes sense. And then we started talking about it. And I mean, she made it to where it's no longer a 9 for me, but just the way everything went about it, the way it held up for me, because in my memory, I just had 3 or 4 key points that made up the whole movie. And when I saw those 3 or 4 key points, they still made sense to me. So I'm going to give it an 8 because I think it held up. Nostalgia, bonuses, however you would like. I give it an 8.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a 5.
I mean, I feel like I've improved your number because I think you started at a 3, but
I did actually start at like a 2 for it.
Oh God.
So you improved it a lot. The discussions made me think about it a little bit more and really truly try to understand it. So you improved it a lot. It's not a 2, it's a 5.
Oh, thank you.
So I can't go any higher than a 5. I mean, like, it wasn't that great, but I'm not gonna go any lower than a 5 either. So it's solid. I found out my wife actually had seen this and she doesn't really remember it and she didn't watch it with me. But I'll probably sit her down and have her watch it with me.
I find that to be very interesting. You've seen it. I've seen it. Your wife has seen it, but we don't remember it.
This just tells you how bad it was.
No, it wasn't bad. So much as
look. I didn't get my subliminal messaging implanted on my mind. For me, I never actually saw the whole thing all the way through, from what I remember.
Oh,
okay. From what I remember, I only saw bits and pieces because it couldn't keep my attention.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's why I have a completely different viewpoint. For me, growing up, how it was, it just didn't have that same feeling, nostalgia.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
So, all right. So, how would you, like, in comparison, like, is this anything like we've already seen? And we talked a little bit about it beforehand, and you said it kind of is like Paprika in the pre-content.
Yes. So in the pre-content, I said it was like Paprika in the sense of the psychedelics, like so specifically the gremlins. Is that what they are? Gremlins?
Sure.
Yeah. The four brothers that can merge into one
and become a tree. That the goblin bumps.
Yeah. So just based on that, the way the drawing was manipulated and just changed erratically, almost like you were confused. And the way that the bubbling water in the nightmare fuel just was erratic. It made me think of the parade scene from Paprika, where everything, while sort of mostly detailed, actually in Paprika, it was ultra detailed, which I thought was amazing. It felt like the dolls that were cascading forward reminded me of just the erratic behavior of the gremlins, the water, and the parade at the beginning.
Right. And the only thing that I really got from it in terms of that was, in terms of similarity, was that they both take place in basically a dream state or a dream realm. It doesn't take place on the plane of reality.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense.
This story, just to help clarify, and that story, totally different. This movie, okay for kids. That story, not. So,
I mean, it depends on how much you care about your kids.
Depends on how old they are. Let's.
Yeah.
If you have a kid, if you have a 28-year-old kid living with you, this is great. Watch Paprika. Watch it with them. If you don't, you have like a 10-year-old, don't watch that movie with them.
I was gonna say, if you have an 8-year-old, probably not. 28's fine.
Exactly. If you have a 1-year-old, you can probably get away with it. They're not going to remember or know it anyways.
Yeah, they won't know what's going on. They'll just see lots of pretty colors, and then lots of not so pretty colors, and then lots of pretty colors again.
Exactly. So next week is my choice, if I am not mistaken, sir.
I do believe it was, yes. I was okay giving up 2 weeks, in fact, just to have this movie. So if you'd be so kind as only take one, that's on you. But if you want to take 2, I'll understand.
I mean, like, I'll take all of them if you want, but I was going to keep it to the one. I mean, like, if you're offering me 2, I mean, that being said,
if you're going to take 2, you might as well make them back to back in a series.
Nah, it's not going to happen. I'm only taking one. And what next week's choice is actually Terror in Resonance. And this actually came to me via old Jeb on our Discord server, who actually asked my opinion on it and said he would really, or they would really like to know what my opinion on it was after having seen it. And I would be happy to give that. I'll even give them a preview before I even talk to you about it, sir. As soon as I'm done watching.
No.
Yeah. So, that's my choice for next week. And it's only 11 episodes long. Came out in 2014, and it's a mystery psychological thriller, which is right up my alley.
Oh, yeah.
I do love
Looking at it,
a good mystery psychological thriller. And we had talked a little. Reminds you of another. The animation, and we had talked about this a little bit too. Was the animation style reminds me of Far From Home? I think it was.
Okay, I guess I'm looking at some still photos. I didn't see anything.
Not in terms of like rats or anything like that or whatever, but
all right.
Yeah. Or From the New World, not Far From Home. From the New World.
Oh, I was gonna say. Okay, I could see. Okay,
it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Just a bit. Just a pinch. I think
this is going to be an interesting watch.
I do too. So that's all the time that we have for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what you thought of the movie, whether or not you had nostalgia for it or not. That is, we would love to hear from you on that. You reach out to us, featuredanimepodcast@gmail.com. Featured Anime Podcast on Facebook, at Those Anime Guys on Twitter. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast. If you feel like this show is worth $1, if you get any kind of value, entertainment, anything like that, really helps us out. It'll help us grow and develop better content for you. And you also get access to bonus content just for $1 a month, 4 episodes every month. And we're always active and talking in our Discord, and information for that is going to be in the show notes. And if you're listening to on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. I'd be happy to respond to you on there. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I plan on being in Slumberland fairly soon. But I'm also Rick. So we'll see you next time.